presentation this morning is part of our Black History Month celebration. And beyond that, it is part of our 10-year anniversary celebration at Gateway. And the theme that we have chosen for our 10-year celebration is overcoming obstacles. And so in looking at both of these celebrations, we have chosen the legacy of a very special woman, a woman who was full of courage, who was full of curiosity, imagination, good cheer, and strong moral values. And this woman is Katherine Johnson, who was a NASA mathematician. And unfortunately, Katherine is not with us this morning, but we have her daughters with us. We have Miss Joylette and Katherine Moore with us this morning, and they will be presenting their mother. They will be representing their mother. Their mother was incredible. She went to college at 15. She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Barack Obama. Her accomplishments are as amazing as the work she did at NASA. And so without further ado, I want to introduce our presenters. As they conclude talking about their mother and questions from our students. Our students viewed the movie Hidden Figures, and we know with movies that there is a fictional aspect as well as the truth woven together. It was a wonderful movie, very compelling. Our students saw it as a basis for this presentation, and then they had discussions in their classes and generated some questions. We will have students asking those questions of Ms. Moore and Ms. Heilich after they present. So we will hear the voices of our students as we talk about the legacy of Katherine Johnson. And of course, the word legacy is so important here because that is the piece of us that we leave after we are gone. And all of the choices we make every day weave together the story and the legacy that we will leave behind. And so, Ms. Moore, Ms. Heilich, please share with us the legacy of your mother.
Greetings. We are so happy to be here at Gate with you and help celebrate Black History Month and your 10th anniversary spinoff. We are the two remaining daughters of Katherine Johnson, and we will share some of the aspects of our mother's story with you. I understand you've seen the movie, Hidden Figures. And, excuse me, and we will answer some of those questions later. Remember now, she was 97 when the movie was made, so we're going to talk about all the life she lived before that. The impact she had on us and how it influenced us all of our lives. And you will see what we mean when we say obstacles and how they can be used as stepping stones to success. I hope we inspire you with the story. She was ordinary, but extraordinary. As you've heard, she was the youngest of 4 children. And the interesting part is the movie says, and they collected money to send Katherine to school. For the record, Katherine Johnson had a set of parents who, when they made up their minds to do something, that's what they did. And he was determined that all of the children would go to school. And because there was no school past 8th grade, he packed up his family and moved them 125 miles away and worked back home and sent them to school until all four finished high school and college at West Virginia State University. She was 18 when she graduated, and very few classrooms have 18-year-old teachers in them today, do they? Well, not even back then. But at the same time, she was lucky enough to get a job because she could not only teach math, but she could play the piano. And that's what they were looking for. So remember, opportunity can offset some of those obstacles, but you have to be ready. Another part of my mother that will come out is how involved she was, not just in community, but in her work. Not just in her community work, but in her church. So our lives are the product of her life. Both Joylette and I sing in church choirs and have all of our lives. She was our first role model. Some of the basic thoughts, or keys as we will call them, she shared with us just in the way she lived. So I'll talk to you about several of the keys. The first one I said was preparation. Mom always said, if you are prepared, when a door opens or an opportunity comes, you can go through that door. But that preparation comes with what you're doing at Charter, getting your education. Education is the key. Learning is growing. Always, always learn something every day, she used to say. What did you learn today? She'd come home and that would be one of the first questions. Because when she came home, we would have been home, started our homework, and she knew that we would be ready to answer her questions. Be curious. Study. Those were things that we did by habit, because for some reason, we liked the feelings we got when we were ready in class the next day. You know how that feels, don't you? So she said, what excites you? That's what you'll be good at. Are you a good listener in class? Do you raise your hand? Don't be afraid. And it really brings to heart things Mom used to say about don't be fearful. And if you give me a moment, I'd like to read you a passage from her book, My Remarkable Journey, where she said, it baffled me that so many people disliked math and struggled with it. I figured they had either had a parent who didn't like math and told them it was hard, or a teacher who didn't have the passion for it like she did. And very few, I guess, did. But I know there are a lot of good math teachers out there. They didn't have the passion or the patience to make math relevant in their lives. At home, I never let my girls tell me math was hard or any subject was difficult. Ask Joylette, she's the one that went into math. From the time they were very young, I always tried to incorporate learning, whether it was math, spelling, or creative activities, such as sewing and working puzzles. Those were worked into our lives because we would do them. I bet if you ask Joylette, she has a puzzle on her table right now. I showed them how what they were learning in school connected to their lives outside of school. So that's one of the things you can remember. What you're doing in school is what you will use as a tool for you when you're outside of school. And these are all things she taught us. When teachers are confident and excited about what their subject matter is, students will pick up on it. So watch your teachers and learn from them, because they are now your role models also. Make learning interesting and interactive. You work in groups, I'm sure. And remember where she says, nothing, expect nothing, you'll get nothing. How in the world can you sit for 6, maybe more hours a day and not go home with something new that you've learned, even if it's how to be a good friend? Those are all things that make life successful, getting along with others. Enthusiasm was another key. At home, our learning started. I remember fondly the games we used to play: hopscotch, jump rope, and we'd count. Mom counted everything. She used to count how many steps walking up the street to the church, or how many steps upstairs to the second floor, how many dishes. So math just became part of our everyday life. Learning was fun, math was fun, and I think of 3 E's: encouragement, excitement, and enjoyment in the classroom. Encouragement can change the very way a student responds. It can change the fear of falling into courage to keep them trying. And Mom used to do that. I will read you one more passage where she talked about how in the world she was going to, just a minute, I'm sorry, my page came out. Page 60. She said, as a teacher, I had to juggle 3 different grades. And it was quite a challenge to keep the students all engaged, especially when I was working individually with a particular group while the others were doing something else. But I worked hard at it. I wanted all of my students to feel smart and special. Whether I was teaching them math, multiplication and division, French words, or the notes on the piano, I used songs, games, and other fun activities to interest the students in learning. I always loved to learn. And I believe that if the students love learning, no one will have to push them to do well. They will want to learn and perform well. So be excited about being successful. No matter the task, it will have a good outcome. I will remember always the students who want to write, because I'm reminded that Mom told us, you can take typing in school, because you never know when it'll come in handy. Computers weren't even thought of in school in our years. But because we took typing, we knew the keyboard. That's how you can be and overcome certain obstacles. Some people say, oh, I don't have a nice handwriting. But working on the computer can take that fear away. She used to tell us to practice, because practice makes perfect. And her father, and I'm going to leave you with this, her father would always say to her, now, Katherine, you are no better than anyone else, but no one is better than you. So In closing, I think I would like to say that when the obstacles come your way, if you deal with them with enthusiasm, that means you're going to face whatever it is. And if you are prepared, you are going to be able to step forward, not be afraid, make mistakes, get up, try again, because as long as you are trying, you're going to improve those skills. STEM subjects are wonderful, and don't be afraid to try them. Somebody will help you if you need it. So remember, when opportunity knocks, you'll be able to enter. I'll stop now and give my sister Joylette her chance. Thank you so much.
I'd also like to say thank you for inviting us to celebrate Black History Month, Overcoming Obstacles, with you here at Gateway Charter. My mother was where you are now. She was where your parents are now. And she was also a teacher. We all know everything has changed, but her principles or keys still apply and render success. When talking with young people, I'm often asked, how did she overcome obstacles of age, gender, or racial inequality? Mom wrote years ago in preparation for a talk she was giving that she was guided by a list of keys, as you see on your chart, as she referred to them, geared to succeeding in those areas, because to her, as Kathy said, fear was not an option, but an opportunity. She said, don't leave home without them. I'd like to address the obstacles I mentioned using those keys. Age, for example. She may use the key preparation. In school, she was always the youngest, so she learned. As she learned, she wanted everyone else in her class to know what she knew. In fact, in one class, one time, she asked the teacher a question, and the teacher said, Katherine, I know you know the answer to that. Why are you asking? She said, my classmates don't understand what you're talking about. She was prepared. She could write well. She could spell. All those things gave her confidence. She liked studying because she always wanted to learn something new every day. So she said to her classmates, she said then that her classmates soon forgot that she was the younger. Now, gender. Let's use the key pride. At work, Mom always liked what she was doing. She said she was assigned to her department to answer questions. As soon as one problem was solved or a question was answered, she was looking for the next problem or question. In order to answer those questions or solve those problems, she had to be prepared. She was confident in what she knew. She always did her very best. She expected that, and her reputation for excellence was known by everyone. She said she never wanted to make a mistake. She always tried to do it correctly the first time because she never wanted anyone to bring her work back to be redone, and they never did. Can any of us say that that was the case? Not me. I majored in math too, but I can't say that. She was once told, as you saw in the movie, women don't do this. They don't go to design meetings and they don't have their names on technical reports. That's because they were just the worker bees. It would be like a housekeeper or a janitor. People often ignore them. They do the work that makes everything work, but they don't get the respect or the awards for it. So she said she was confident in what she knew again and what she could contribute, So she asked if there was a law that said she could not participate. They said no, and so she was invited to join them thereafter. I was reading early this morning because I woke up excited about your program. And she said that her forward thinking, because I always say that she was a visionary, as the discussions would go in those meetings, she would think of something that some of them did not, because apparently in the research that was done, math was the basic foundation for what was done and the decisions that were made. She always considered herself part of a team, never wanting to take credit alone for an achievement. She felt her success was due to the work of all her teammates. She was loyal and always humble. So her knowledge and work ethic made gender not much of a problem there. She just went about her work and did not let anyone deter her from achieving her goal. Racial inequality, key. Again, let's try pride. Work at developing and displaying your self-satisfaction, your self-respect, and your self-esteem. Mom said she just ignored any action that may have gotten or had a negative effect on doing her work. If you remember in the movie, although she really did not run in the rain to the bathroom, she went to the closest one only to get back to work as quickly as possible. You remember I said as soon as questions and problems were answered, she was ready for the next one. In the book, it says she never took a day off. She never called in sick. She liked what she was doing. And so, and one of her keys, she said, follow your passion. If you like what you're doing, you won't consider it work. And there is a point, but I didn't write down the page number. She said that she never worked a day in her life after 33 years at NASA. She said because she loved what she was doing. So that's something to be said. But in her early days, the bathrooms were segregated. I don't want this talk to seem like a lecture, and I don't want to have anyone in our audience to feel left out. I have just been talking to students, but I will say a couple things Mom might say to your parents and your teachers. And if you'll notice, Kathy and I say much the same thing, but she, in her profession, was in education, and I was in the technical field. So there might be a slight difference in the way we approach some of those keys. Number one, parents, love and support your children. Be familiar with their teachers, go to the school meetings, etc. Check their assignments. Don't do them for them, but check them. And provide direction in the way of discipline and respect for others. Mom always said that a child should have a pet. Well, if possible, now that we have to qualify that. If possible, a pet which will help discipline, music which helps you to think and also discipline, and a sport which gives you things, because you shouldn't have free time with nothing to do, because free time with nothing to do often leads to problems. Teachers, let your students know you're interested in them, that you want them to learn, and you want their respect as you respect them. They get their energy from you, their interest from you, their example from you. You have them in your care the better part of their day. I could talk all day about Mom and how she approached things, but we have time limits too, and we want to hear your questions. Just know that Mom always liked young people. She wants you to like learning as much as she did. Good luck and enjoy your month. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. We certainly appreciated and value the keys to success and the way that you presented them. We do have some questions from our students. Our students are in Mr. White, our principal's office. They will present each question and then give you an opportunity to answer those questions. But do take a minute to look at the screen. There is a picture of Ms. Johnson receiving the medal from President Barack Obama. There are statues that honor her. There are satellites that honor her. And some of these pictures on the screen now are just priceless. So with that, Mr. White, if you are ready with a student to ask our first question, you may do that now.
All right, our first question is one of our 8th grade students, Jamir Dickerson. Come close, Jamir.
Hello.
Good morning.
My question is, why did your mom want to work for NASA knowing she would face racism every day?
Knowing she was what? I'm sorry.
She would face racism every day.
That's, well, now you have to remember, back in the day, you couldn't let it hold you back because that was the way life was. And she went into this very new because where she taught school, it was always all Black. Where she worked, where she went to church, where she shopped was basically segregated. And you know what that word means. So you can imagine when she walked in and the group of women were Black women, but when they sent her out, she went into this big office and the men looked around at her. And when she saw an empty desk and she put her paper and her books down, he got up and walked away. Well, if she had let that obstacle stop her, she wouldn't have had a job. So she put her books down and sat down. And before too long, she found out that he was also from West Virginia. Case closed. They became people, not Black and white. So, it's like one step at a time, one person at a time. You win them over by your personality, by your knowledge. And she said it never bothered her because she didn't let it. She knew what she knew. They needed what she knew. And so as a result, she was able to overcome it simply by being steady, conscientious, and persistent. Good question.
Thank you. Our next is, we have another 8th grader. We have Janae Winder. Come on up, Janae.
Hi.
Hello.
Did you ever hear your mother cry or get upset about her job and the pressure she faced as a Black woman?
I'll take that because I was in the similar environment for about 1.5 years, but we never saw Mom cry out of frustration. That would just be an opportunity for her to figure out another way around whatever the issue was. She was always confident in what she did. She wasn't cocky about it. She didn't stand out. She didn't want to stand out in front, but she just would not let anything stand in her way of doing what she needed to do. She liked her work, and it was always a challenge. She said, the harder, the better. So you just don't let anybody deter you. Develop self-confidence, and that'll be helped by your parents and your teachers. And say, nobody's better than me, but I'm no better than anyone else.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be from our seventh grader, Chelsea Whitaker.
Hi,
Hi.
my question is that what was your reaction when you saw the Hidden Figures movie?
We've seen it about 100 times, but it made me cry. But just to see that my mother had been acknowledged for the work that she did, even that we were finding out, was very good. We were older at those times than they showed us in the movie. So we said good, and nobody would see us walking down the street. So we were happy about that.
Can I just add, Joylette, remember the morning they closed the movie and had us, came and bought a limousine to take Mom to see the movie. So we had the private showing, popcorn. She wanted her popcorn. And my dad wasn't able to come. So we sat in the movie and they showed it, and she would lean over. She said, "Is that me?" And she would see little clips in there that reminded her of something she had said or done. But when you hear your name on the screen, she said, "They did all of that? I was just doing my job."
Right.
So we were just like any kid would be, except that was me up there with the little pom-poms. And we cried sometimes. And when we were able to show it to our dad at home, and he was in early stages of dementia at the time, and it was hard because we didn't know what his reaction would be. And when he saw himself in uniform, he just glowed. He said, "Is that me?" And we said, yes. And the smile on his face was worth it, because they were in their 90s. Understand that. And it was just a joy and something we never, ever expected.
Thank you.
Our next question is one of our fifth graders, Aziatu Ja.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Did you ever experience racism in school?
Experience what?
Did you ever experience racism in school?
No, we grew up in a segregated environment. So that gave us a very wholesome environment for the most part. And our teachers were very interested in us excelling because they knew the road was hard ahead. And it just didn't happen. And then I went to a Black college too. And it was the same thing. That was the first time I had ever seen white teachers. But because they were at our school, an HBCU, which we always felt and still do, that those were the very best places for us to go, so that your battle would only be, what do you learn, as opposed to having to deal with racism, which I'm sure, I imagine rather, that it must happen to you in today's world with integration. We just didn't have to think about it. It's just, people ask us, and I said, well, when we left work and wherever we went, we basically stayed in our lane, as I describe it, because you knew that it might be danger if you went someplace else. There were things that we weren't able to do, like I couldn't join the local Peninsula Orchestra because it was white kids only. But my cousin, who was 10 years younger, who went the same path I did musically, she was able to join. And in the summers, she went a couple years to a music camp in Europe. But I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't know about it, so I didn't care about it. You go on and do what you have in front of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our last question is one of our seventh graders, Julian Rome.
What was your proudest moment as a kid growing up with your mom?
Joylette, there's so many now, but in the beginning, the first time I ever heard her speak was in a classroom. You know, she would come where I taught, and she'd always talk to the classes. I could just tell the principal, I've got my mother here from NASA and she's a math teacher. You know, that was what she would be, talking to them about wonderful learning experiences and opportunities at NASA. And I'd like to have, he'd open the little theater up and they could come in and listen. So I was proud of that. But then when we walked into the White House and the president came up to my mother, it was wonderful. And we were able to bring our children, because we told them, no, we can't do this unless her grandchildren can see this, because they're the ones that are going to tell the story. And we were able to take Joylette's 2, my 1, and my deceased sister's 3, and we all got to see her at that moment that you're looking at, where he's putting he changed the whole program around so he could talk about her first, because they were in an order of, I guess, an alphabetical order. But he said, no, I want her first, because I want to talk about Katherine Johnson first. And so we ended up being on the wrong side of where we were sitting to watch the presentation, but it didn't matter because you could see, but she was on point. You didn't have to tell her how to behave.
Well, she was always on point, even in her later years. I said, Mom, do you want me to come and write some notes for you because you have to speak? She said, I'll think about it when I get there.
Yeah.
But to your original question, young man, your proudest moment is when you achieve your goals. So that means work to get the best grades you can, be the best friend you can, be respectful of other people and expect them to be respectful to you. And know that you can do anything. We like Mom's book. We like Mom's story because she just absolutely never let anything stop her. Our father died the 20th of December when we were children, 11, 12, and 15. After the Christmas break, she takes us back to school and told the principal, we all know, because the school of 1,000, everybody knew everybody else, and everybody had adopted my dad, knowing that he was as sick as he was for just a year or so. And she said to the principal, but now the children have to finish school so that they can go to college. So don't do them any favors. So it was always moving forward. But I think you'll get an interesting thing if you read either of these 2 books. The one, Reaching for the Moon, is for younger people. And if you're challenged, then My Remarkable Journey goes into a bit more detail. But it's a wonderful story, and you can learn a lot from it. We've gotten questions and letters from people. In fact, she has gotten them from everywhere, all over the world. We got to go to the University of Johannesburg in South Africa to receive her 13th honorary degree. So you just never know. We didn't know that. She said, well, I was just doing my job. She's still saying, what are they doing this for? So you just believe in yourself. Don't let anybody take that away from you. But be doing good.
Thank you.
And let me just say, when you look at the picture on the beautiful PowerPoint that they put together, where she's at the statue, those are her 6 grandchildren. So that was what she was most proud of, she would tell you. She was always, what did you do? And if they called, she'd make them do math problems on the phone. And they had fun. They called her G-Ma. And we still talk about her like she's still here, but this is the month that she died. And it's just been to be able to look back, you know, and see what that life was is it just enriches you. And you're saying, I lived through this. She was just mom. But we get a chance to really appreciate what you're learning about her through us, because we probably took some of it for granted. We knew where she worked. We knew what she did, but she couldn't talk about it. And it was just a joyous life. And I hope we picked up from it, because you have to look at life as this is what you're dealt. Make the most of it and use the skills that God gave you and go for it. Go for the moon. Reach for the moon.
Well, thank you so much
The tears.
for inspiring us. And we want to let you know that part of our Black History Month, each classroom has been assigned a different HBCU to study, to present, to create a gallery tour in our school. So the middle school students will come downstairs and tour all of the elementary classrooms and learn about each of their HBCUs. And then the elementary students will go upstairs and tour the middle school rooms and learn about the HBCUs up there. We think it's important that they know the possibilities so they can aspire to, as you say, reach the moon. And so it's important, I think, for us to implant a vision at an early age. Another thing that we will be doing a literacy follow-up using the National Geographic book about your mom, using Reaching for the Moon, the one that you highlighted when you were speaking, and also for the older students and for our teachers, we will be doing the My Remarkable Journey. And of course, the picture on the back is your mom receiving the award from President Obama. Today, because you joined us in person, you brought this legacy, this memory to life. And we have been inspired. I personally have been inspired. I want to thank you on behalf of all of us at Gateway Charter School, our teachers, our students, and all of our support staff. Thank you for sharing the legacy. And like a pebble dropped into a pond, those circles will continue to go out as we carry the story with us and share it with our families, our friends, and it will continue to go and to grow. So I just can't tell you how happy, and if you look, you'll see some applause in some of the rooms. I see Mr. Casino's third grade, I see Pam, and I see the seventh grade class, and in some rooms you're receiving a standing ovation, I want you to know. So thank you, ladies, from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you. I mean, I'm so red now. If there are any more questions, I'm ready to answer them.
I'd like to say something too.
Yes, please.
The origin of this invite came from Miss Draper, who was in an HBCU with my son.
Oh,
so
yes.
when you go to these schools, you develop friendships that last forever.
Yeah.
I've got friends all over the country because we've stayed friends through the experiences that we met in the schools where we lived and worked together and shared our own experiences. So it's just always a good thing, and we're always grateful. So I'm happy that you're highlighting them, because they're having problems that I just can't understand, but it's they're still just very, very worthy schools. And most of your professional Black people come from those schools.
Mm-hmm. Well, Miss Draper is our founder. So Miss Draper had a vision, and her vision was for a school like Gateway. And Miss Draper had to overcome many obstacles in getting this school started. But here we are celebrating 10 years of being open and being successful. And we are very grateful to Miss Draper. So, Miss Draper, as always, we love you and we appreciate your vision and your overcoming of obstacles. So you are one of our role models.
Thank you so much, Ms. Heilig and Ms. Katherine, for being with us today. We are overjoyed to be able to spend this time with you. And we wish you a great rest of the year, and hopefully we can do something again.
Would love to, honestly.
I don't know whether we're supposed to tell you, but Mama's going to be part of a commercial at the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's
And-
the big reveal.
I don't know if
that was supposed to be a secret, but we love knowing it.
It's an FTX commercial somewhere. We don't know any more than that. But that's exciting. And we just received our replicas of the Congressional Gold Medal that was awarded to her, which we have here. So she's still getting awards, and it's just been quite a ride.
Tell them about the NAACP.
Yes, that's another one.
Her book was chosen, her My Remarkable Journey was chosen as one of the
Nonfiction
finalists for the NAACP Literary
Image
Award.
Award.
So she's still doing it.
And Miss Katherine, the eagle that's behind you, would you share what that eagle is behind you?
Yes. Oh, it's too heavy for me to pick
Don't pick it up, Kathy.
But
That's okay.
it was presented. I went to receive it for her from the Black Ranchers and Farmers of America in that national convention in Atlanta. So we have been across this country from San Diego to Washington State, and South Africa was our last trip. They've had a play written about her that they presented to her at the Greenbrow Hotel in White Sulphur on her 98th birthday, I believe.
99.
99th birthday. And the young lady that played her, it was basically a one-woman show. She did a phenomenal job, and to get to go up to her and meet her, it was worth it just to be there and see it. So the experiences have been wonderful. So you all keep plugging, because you never know when they might make a movie about you.
We do have one question from a teacher, our 8th grade, 6th and 8th grade science teacher, Miss Allison Lee, put in the chat that she would like to ask a question. So Miss Lee or Pam, would you unmute Miss Lee so she could ask the question, please? There she is. There she is, holding one of our pets. She has Miss Lee, you're still muted.
Yeah, I asked her to unmute. Okay.
There we go.
Good morning.
So, good morning. It's so nice to meet you both. My question is, when it came time to thinking about your career and your further education, I was curious as to how your mom was in terms of, did she want you to pursue certain avenues, or was it more of, I want you to do what is in your heart, or kind of a combination? I guess as a mom, like what was her guidance and her advice?
Her father realized that she had this curiosity, but she always said, follow your passion, because if you do that, you'll work harder at it. She didn't force us to do anything but do well, to, follow your goals. Because we find, and she also said, that if you don't have high expectations, that the children in school or at home will only go as far as your expectation is. So put it up there, make them go all the way up there to do what you think they are able to do.
And just to piggyback on that, when she sent us off to college, I know she took me to school. I was the only one that went away from home, although we all went away.
I went away and stayed.
You went away, but you were right there at home, just didn't go home. You know, it
Right.
was a different show. She put me down with the trunk and got in her car and went on home. Bottom line was, in those days, really all you could aspire to pretty much, because you didn't have money, was to be a teacher or a nurse. And I didn't want to be a teacher because our family was full of teachers. And the story had it, I got out to Texas with my, at the time, military husband, right in the middle of Vietnam War time. And I decided to go and sub at some of the public schools. And the way they were treating the kids was so disheartening to me. I left there saying, I've got to go back. They got to see people that look like them. I've got to go back and change my major. I was majoring in biology. I changed it immediately to education and became a teacher and never looked back. And for 33 years, I worked in the public schools. So follow your passion. It comes out. I never was going to be a teacher, but that's all I could have been. That's all I wanted to be at the end.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. Again, we so appreciate you sharing your lives with us. And I see that our art teacher said that, wait, she did put something in the chat. Miss
Okay.
Johnson lived when it was a struggle to get an education. Now all students have instant access to education online and off. How do you instill in children the tendency to prize their education? Is that something that can be taught? Now that's our art teacher, Miss Stacy Johnson, who asked that question.
My mother said that the cell phones were damaging to children because when you spend so much time on the cell phone, you don't talk to somebody else, you don't learn to spell, you don't learn to write, and you don't have to think. And you really are not, I mean, sports are not the end all. If you look at, they tell some of the kids, I want to play basketball. How many people are on a basketball team? 5. So you got 5 at your elementary school, high school, you go to college, there's 5, and you go beyond that, and how many are playing in the pros. So education is everything.
That's the
because you
foundation.
have to know, you have to learn, and you have to always want to learn. There's no easy way. There's just no easy way.
You
Miss
can't do
Katherine?
anything without it.
That's true. That is so true. Well, ladies, thank you. I'm going to send these students back to class now so they can do exactly that. They can do some more learning. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. We will look forward to the Super Bowl commercial now that we have an inside tip.
We haven't
And
seen
you haven't seen it yet either. We will be watching for it. Have a great day and thank you so much. Take care.
happy
Bye-bye.
anniversary.
Thank you.